What's going on, my friends? You know, as I always say, when things come to mind, I always want to get on and talk about it. So we're going to do that. I talked about things from the conference that I made as they come to mind. I want to talk about a little bit, or just things in general. There's a lot of things at the conference that made me think about what I'd like to get on and talk about this year. I really would. What is it? One huge topic, man. It didn't dawn on to me until today. I was sitting there thinking, it's been a big buzz about Epidemic music over the last few years or so. And a lot of people arguing, saying, they're a good company to deal with. And the majority of the people I know say they're not, which they aren't. That's just my opinion. But there's a lot of fact behind it. What they're doing to musicians is not cool at Epidemic Music, really. It's not cool at all. Forcing you to not be with a PRO, they're basically buying your music from you, and you'll never see a dime from that music again. They dangle this little, we'll split the YouTube money with you. It's about enough to get a hamburger each year, but a lot of stuff. I just sitting and I was listening. We were sitting at a table one evening, and it's amazing when you get a few drinks and somebody what they're willing to talk about what they know, and not a lot of ultra specifics, but enough to know that what's coming down the pike here down one day when the highest bidder comes along to Epidemic Music, which is either Universal Music or Warner Chappell or one of these big companies, they're going to dump that whole catalog and drop it all on these artists. Now, mind you, these artists go, well, it's great, I get $500 for every track they take from me, but do they take every track that you do for them? Do they really take every track that you do for that company? Probably not. Very few people are probably making good money a year at that, but they're not making any more money than that because they sold it to those guys. They don't own the rights to it anymore. It's gone. Bye-bye. Forever. And my advice to you, if you're writing for Epidemic Music, please switch your model. Please start writing for exclusive libraries and getting it to a PRO and start getting out there to companies that are getting your stuff into TV and with outlets that are going to have your music working for you for years. That back end, folks. There's numerous tracks that I've written over the years. If I'd have sold it to Epidemic Music, would have been the worst mistake I'd made because I've made a lot more than $500 on that track over the years. Seriously. You just have to find those good libraries, as I've always said, to work with. And I'm telling you guys right now, the consensus I'm getting and just listening and hearing these guys talking, there's some pretty, I would say high up people in the business, but people that keep their ears to the ground more so. People in different countries that have libraries and things in there based on where Epidemic is from. And mind you, if Epidemic Music were an American company, they would have never been allowed to operate like that. Trust me, they would not have. And there's some countries, they won't let you do business with them. You want to think about that one. Maybe they're trying to protect you. In America, people always ask, well, why does it allow Americans to do it? Because we have the freedom to do what we want. They know if they were an American company, they wouldn't allow them to tell you you're not allowed to join a PRO and do those things. But we have the freedom to just know what you're getting into before you sign with that company and do that and agree to that. It's your call. You have that right and that freedom. So that's the only way I can say why. But I'm telling you, what I gathered from all the just listening, I didn't even add any input, except the one thing I said is if Epidemic Music were an American company, they wouldn't have been allowed to operate like that. And of course, that's the obvious. Everybody's like, of course. Is that the highest bidder comes along with all these investors, they're going to sell that catalog for billions. And guess who's not getting any more back in or nothing out of those tracks ever? The composers who wrote all those tracks. And they're done. They sold it off for billions and ran with the money. So keep that in mind, folks, when you're writing for Epidemic Music. I mean, I'm not trying to be the negative Nelly or the bad apple here, but that day could very well come along. Will it 100%? Do I know it will? I don't think anybody knows that it will. But it could. And a lot of people were saying things that they've heard that could be likely if the highest bidder comes along. Whatever large company that has a lot of money, whether it be Universal or Warner Chappell or one of these companies. I'm not saying that it's one or the other. But that day comes, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. So they're making a fortune of money off of YouTube, yeah. But the thing is when those tracks get sold, all that writer's share is going to the people over the company that buys it. And all your music's going to be getting on TV shows and movies and films, and you'll never see a dime of that money, ever. In fact, I'll guarantee you, now this isn't guaranteed, but I guarantee you, in the back door of Epidemic Music, that music's being licensed out the back door. And there's writer shares being taken off those tracks. There's probably a PRO account somewhere on that deal, whether it be YouTube or anything else. So understand, it's not just mechanicals with these guys. These guys want to try to sell you and make you think that this is the better future of music. And you know, there was talk of it in some of the panels in past years about that company, and not just that company. Really, it's not just Epidemic Sound, it's other companies. But Epidemic Sound like the biggest one that people are as a question always comes up about that business model. And it's frowned upon. There's people in the industry going, you know, it's not an American company. We can't do anything about it. You're going to have to, you know, try to, in the country where you're at, or fight it, or right there where they're based at if you need to. But I'll tell you who was very vocal in the past about it. And I saw him at the Production Music Conference this year. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Was Dan Graham. And you guys know who he is. The whole 52 Qs a year guy. And Dan was at the conference. He's been very vocal about it. If you go look at his Facebook, or that, not really his Facebook, but he has a Facebook group. Can't remember the name of it, Music Licensing Discussion or something like that. But you look up Dan Graham and Facebook group, it'll come up. I'll find it for you if you have any questions, chime in. But he created a hornet's nest with him a couple of years ago. Kind of got into it with a little bit because he had questions and kind of going at him, and they blocked him. Oh, well, of course they want to block him because they don't want a lot of people to know the truth of what's going on that deal. And I know some of you are like, well, I'd rather write from them than try the back end. No, you really need to stay focused on the back end. You need to stick with exclusive libraries, and you need to really work with good companies that place a ton of the music that you do. Build those relationships. Trust me, it's moving the needle for me, and I've seen it growing and growing and growing and growing. It's not a short game, folks. You know, and music licensing isn't for everybody. I understand that too. But if you want to talk about what AI is going to eat up, it's stock music companies, little stock music libraries, for several reasons. And I'll tell you, I just got like $400 and something from Pond 5 for some old tracks I did years ago. Just been sitting there with these AI data set payment, and that's not permanent. That's going to go away when they get what they want and eat it all up, and it's gone. I don't know how long that will be, but so there. That's your first target. But I can tell you, as I said before, you can't worry about AI. There's always going to be a need for human creation. Always. Where do you think that it's learning from? It's learning from us. Where do you think all these styles of music have come from and all these trends? Us. We're all different. It will continue to be that way. It's amazing what more trends of music will come for years to come, how interesting it's going to be. We just have to keep plugging away, and we're just going to have to be more creative about what we do. In other words, you're going to have to step up and really start writing some music, you know. There are some out there that are just worried about loops and samples and things doing stuff for you and not creating music. You're just going to have to put your toes in the sand a little bit deeper and really get creative and write good music. I think it's what we're all trying to do, but you've got to do that. But anyway, I wanted to pass that on because that was huge talking. It wasn't this year, surprisingly, it wasn't that I could tell in any of the panels, but I didn't hit every one of those panels. I have to go back and watch, but I'll tell you, AI was a big topic and all that stuff, but a lot of positive things how AI would help us and stuff. It really would. So I encourage you to go. If you don't go to the conference, at least get the virtual ticket. I think it's only like $100 or something, $100 something a year, but just so you can watch and listen to these people, what they're talking about. But I'll tell you, there's nothing like being there. The people you meet and the rapport you build with people and the amazing talent. So, but around the conference, us sitting there having drinks and eating dinner or whatnot over coffee, big topic about companies, not just that one, but companies like that. So I'm just kind of passing this on, guys, that I don't read minds to know when that would ever happen, or or when or if, but there's a lot of buzz about, there's people, big people who go to this conference, of people who know people that are like, I know this guy, there's talks of this, and all the roads of that conversation, I just sat there by the bar just listening. I was with some other people who were talking, and I'm just hearing all this, and we're all kind of listening. And these are from libraries all over the world, guys. These are big libraries, too. I'm not going to mention them, but big. Are saying the highest bidder, the company's chomping at the bit to buy out the whole catalog for Epidemic Music. And that's as far as it got, really, that's a hot topic of all these artists that have written music for them. They're going to be sitting there holding nothing, having to start over when it's said and done. Don't let a company ever do that to you. Please don't do that. There's a better way. I promise you. When something else cool comes along, I'm going to cut you in, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I just wanted to drop that today. I've talked about it before, but just wanted to kind of share that it was very interesting. Again, it's coming up, so I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate you for watching. Be cool. We'll see you soon.